Hello, y'all. I am back again for another video. And this video is going to be about narcissists and text messaging, part 20. And what was my response? Narcissists and text messaging, part 20. What was my response? So, first, I want to explain this. With my lives and the lives here on the Advanced Insight channel, you can get more of an idea by keeping up with the lives. Okay. It's very important with the live videos on this channel to go back in history and kind of get caught up on the lives. I'm going to be getting even better and better about creating playlists. However, you can get a better glimpse and a better understanding of the new video here once you have tuned into some of the old lives. So I have a narcissist and text messaging playlist, and this is going to be part 20. What was my response? So text messaging and text messages can pre-warn you of things that may come. Okay. So the Kaylin and Elijah issue. Okay. I talked about Elijah, my relative, and his girlfriend, Kaylin. Okay. I want to first explain the difference between forgiveness and making peace with the situation. Thank you so much for coming into the live. This is Narcissist and Text Messaging, part 20, y'all, part 20. And what was my response? Thank you so much for the like. Habu came in here. I would have to look that up. Yeah, I gotta look up what those mean. Thank you so much for the chats and the comments from Habu. I'm not sure what it means, but let's assume it means something positive. So thank you so much for the like. This is Narcissist and Text Messaging part 20. What was my response? So let me first start by reading you the text message. Remember, I have a playlist. I break down. Oh, you're from Amsterdam? Habu, thanks for tuning in from Amsterdam. So down the text messaging parts. This is part 20. So I've been very dedicated to narcissism and text messaging. And I'm not trying to brag or just get you to watch the videos, but during my narcissism and text messaging series, this is part 20. So that means I've already done 19 parts. It's changed my life. And it's changed my life because, it's easy for people to say, well, just never text. But each text from each person is different, right? People have different personalities, different motives, and stuff like that. So I received this text from Kaylin's phone. She's the narcissistic, sociopathic girlfriend of Elijah's. So she sends me a text. It came in around June 20th, somewhere around there. And hold on, let me go back to the text. I gave a perspective of something. So the text says, very interesting. Thank you for educating me. I will make sure not to call you that again. And it was Elijah texting me, and he's kind of misogynistic. So he uses that. I'm glad you two were talking. You women got to get it together. It's the women word. And I explained this on other videos. It's not the best word because, for one, it's only one woman, and that was Eve. If the story is true that Eve came from Adam's rib, there's only one woman. So I prefer to use the term girls or ladies. It will reduce the stereotyping and discrimination of you. I'm still healing with the voice, y'all. So please bear with me with my voice. It's still healing. My voice is still just a little bit hoarse. So, the response was respectful. So then it says, we need to talk to you about some business, and it has to do with our situation. This is coming from Elijah and Caitlin. And we would like for you to call when you have time. So let me read this text message one more time, because this is Narcissist and Text Messaging, Part 20. What was my response? So, very interesting. Thank you for educating me. I will make sure not to call you that again. You are correct. We need to talk about some business, and it has to do with our situation. And we would like for you to call when you have time. There was kind of some words mixed up in here, but that's what they meant, that they would like for me to call. So first of all, they need something I don't. So call me. That's what you can do. So this was sent about June 20th. I ended up talking to Caitlin and Elijah around June 27th, somewhere around there. It's about a week from the text. And it's because they called me. They ended up calling me within a week to a week and a half. We'll give it a week and a half. It wasn't anything. When you get these text messages. So this is Narcissist and Text Messaging, Part 20. When you get these texts that people need to talk to you about some business, and it has to do with their situation, those are not urgent texts for you. Those are not urgent texts for you. It may feel urgent to the person that wants to help, but it's not an urgent text, especially when it's coming from people that have been overtly disrespectful. They've laid their hands on you, cussed you out, threatened you, threatened people around you, all of the above. You've been in the hospital. They broke your leg or arm. You've been hospitalized. Somebody's been shot. And none of this has happened to me as far as the getting shot, hospitalization. However, sometimes it has been that bad where you can get a text from someone. People that want something from you, when they're ready for you to be a supply source, there's no standard or morality in it. They're coming from a place of desperation. They want what they want. They feel like they deserve what they're asking for, and they feel like it's a need. When they ask you for something, whether it be for your money, for a place to stay, to use your car, they're not thinking about you per se. It has nothing to do with, is it going to be best for you? It's just straight up, they're trying to get their needs met. Like HG Tutor would call it, they're seeking their prime aims, which is fuel supply, residual benefits, and more. The basic prime aims that HG Tutor will go over. So let me read the text one more time. Very interesting. Thank you for educating me. I will make sure not to call you that again. You are correct. And I told Elijah, stop calling me a woman and women. It's he put Caitlin and I in the same category, and you women, you this, you that. It's a misogynistic word. It's a word that misogynists, people that inherently dislike women and ladies, they will kind of just throw it around as they feel like throwing it around. So he goes on to say, we need to talk. to you about some business, and it has to do with our situation. And Kaylin's and Elijah's situation is homelessness. Okay. It is homelessness. That's their situation. And it can happen to the best of us. I've been displaced before. I've been homeless before. It can happen at any given time. It's a situation that you can get out of at any time, too. You just got to do the work. And it's a situation that any renter can be in. You can be renting, and they can say, we're selling the property. We're going to tear down the building to rebuild it. You know, a lot of people end up displaced or homeless because property owners decide to remodel or renovate their properties. And they have to, everyone has to move out. So that can happen. Okay. So with narcissism and text messaging part 20, what was my response? So my response first was, this was sent to me June 20th. My response was first to ignore it because Kaylin and Elijah's situation has nothing to do with me. I'm also going to explain my perspective of forgiveness. My perspective of forgiveness is more like making peace with people. Forgiveness, it's a word that's thrown around a lot. It's a biblical word. It's a dangerous word. It's a very dangerous word because forgiveness to a lot of people means giving the same chance to people before. And doing this can ultimately, worst case scenario, get you seriously injured or killed. Forgiveness is done a lot, but people don't really know what it means. Some people try to play like they're the Lord and just play like they just can forget everything that person did to them. They're playing God, and that's dangerous too. So this is narcissism and text messaging part 20. So one of the things I did was I ignored it. Okay. I don't need to call them. They say they have some business they need to take care of about a situation. It has nothing to do with me. Okay. Elijah had already asked me when he got out of jail, the beginning of April or in April, sometime in April, if he could come back here and stay. I never in a million years really thought that Elijah would call me the end of June and ask if him and Kaylin can stay. But people don't surprise me now. Okay. I mentioned the story of how in September 2024, she put her fist in my side. She didn't punch me. She was trying to get back in Elijah's place. You got to go back through the lives and watch all of that. So what was my response? For one, I did not use the word no. I just said it wouldn't work in my best interest. It would cause me harm. There's things that I would lose if I let you and Kaylin move in. What made them comfortable with sending me this text message is I had made peace with them. I made peace with Elijah and Kaylin. And when I say make peace with someone, I'm not able to help them in the area of providing them a home or a residence. I'm unable to help them in that area, and it's best for me not to do that. However, I have made peace with them, which is what I would call true forgiveness. Okay. Forgiveness is a God thing, not so much of a human thing. The word is thrown around a lot, and it makes people feel like they're doing something that's like the Lord would do, but it's really not something they're fully capable of. And the people that try to really succeed at it still fail because they end up putting themselves back in the same situations over and over. So one of the things is there's certain things that I refuse to forget. And one of the things is the treatment that I received as Elijah got older and in his later teen years, when he started using substances. And one example would be back around March of 2024. Elijah told me on the phone that he's not my protector. And he said he's Kaylin's, which is his girlfriend's. He said it right in front of her. Okay. And it was between like March to June of 2024. And what it did, it made me really curious to meet her. I need to meet this girl that you feel like you are in charge of protecting, that now comes above your own mother. I really need to meet this girl. So I did, and I didn't see anything so relevant or so important about her that she deserves this level of protection. She deserves it, and I don't. I didn't see anything like that. I was actually really surprised when I met her, but it was okay. You know, I got along with her to the best of my ability. So, with narcissism and text messaging part 20, and again, thank you so much for the like. What was my response? Of course, no, but I did not use the word no. So what I did was I prepared myself for anything that they could be asking me for. So I read the text. So in this narcissism text messaging part 20, if you find it hard to say no to people that are texting you and asking you for help, it may be because you're replying to it too quick. You can treat your text messages just like emails. I do it all the time. Just like some people don't check their email daily. They check it weekly. And so certain emails, they'll just get to it a week from now. Okay? For example, emails that are in your junk email. You may wait months to read those. It went in junk email, right? So of course, this is narcissism text messaging part 20. Don't reply so quick. So I just kind of gave it a week to a week and a half, or at the maximum, it was 2 weeks. I don't think it was that long. And I talked to Kaylin and Elijah, and I had a very friendly conversation with them. I'm at peace with them. I'm not angry with them. And what that means is when I say I'm at peace with them, you got to accept whatever happens once you say that you're unable to help people. So if you are unable to help one or two people, in this case, it's two people, if anything were to happen to them out there while they're staying at hotels and motels, I have to understand it's beyond my control and that I have to make peace. Because sometimes it'll happen, y'all. You know, sometimes we, for our best interest, we can no longer or cannot help people. And sometimes they die out there. Sometimes they get seriously injured. Sometimes they have a medical crisis. Number one thing, if Elijah cared anything about me as his mother, he would not have asked me if Kaylin and him could move in. Think about how disrespectful that is. How disrespectful it is asking his mother, which is me, to move a girl in that has already put her fist in my side. Now, it's one thing to make peace with her. It's one thing to talk to her. It's another thing to forgive her, talk to her if you want to use the word forgive, and I go out and eat lunch or have lunch with Caitlin. But the forgiveness and the peace should never go so far where two people that have behaved like Elijah and Caitlin, my forgiveness and my good heart and my peace with them should not go so far to where I move them in my residence. Okay? Like Elijah said, he's not my protector. And he's not Caitlin's either. That's why he beats up on her. So, what was my response? My response was to think. I also did not mention all the reasons why I would not allow them to stay. I just gave them one. It's not in my best interest. It would cause me harm. It's not a good thing to do with my rental agreement. With my lease, I should not be moving in people that is not on my lease. It's not good. It can cause me further problems, and I'm already having enough problems as it is. So that was my response. I did not use the word no. I didn't devalue them. I didn't downgrade them. I didn't call them names. I didn't say, white trashy bitch, why you asking me this? I didn't cuss Elijah out and say, you crazy ass nigga, why you got your white bitch asking me? Some people would have went off. Okay. But I did not. I was respectful. I made peace with them. Since I have told them I cannot help, I have not heard from them. So, number one, as I said, he shouldn't be asking me that. Two, Elijah said this when he got out of jail, when he was at Miss Angel's house. He says he's grown. When a male says that, especially in Elijah's situation, he's not saying he's an adult. He's saying he's grown. So that's a rebellious word. Somebody just clicked the like. Put it back. I had 2 likes. Someone clicked it and then unclicked it. Click the like back. It's okay. You can put a like here. It's okay. So it's a rebellious word. Thank you so much, dear heart. It's a rebellious word. So when somebody says, I'm grown, that's a red flag. What that means is that if I were to let Elijah in here, he feels like he's running shit. He feels like he does not have to adhere to any of my rules. He feels like he can do what he want to do. He's wild. He's not gonna, he's a rebel. He's in rebellion. He's not gonna follow any order here. 3, I prefer not to leave people here much when I'm not home. That is a house rule that I've learned through this crisis with Elijah and even some of Daniel's mess. Just in general, I mean, even with my oldest son, Isaiah, we're working on, can you do these particular chores on your own? But definitely, I would not want Elijah and Kaylin at my residence alone. So I would have to think about it. If they were living here, how do I get them to leave? Even calling the police, y'all. Once you let somebody in your house, they are not going to listen to you. Okay? Even the police can't necessarily make them leave per se because they become a resident. Number 4, letting Kaylin in here, she's part of the reason Elijah's homeless now and is going through criminal trouble. So Kaylin, she's a narcissistic sociopath. She already knows before she would come to my residence that her goal is to take it over. Okay. So number 4, I did not help because I do not want my residents taking over. Now, number 5, this may be kind of a strangey one, right? Number 5, the competition thing and the loyalty thing. It's no competition. Kaylin, that's Elijah's girlfriend. But the loyalty thing goes like this. The loyalty thing goes like this, y'all. No woman comes before your mother ever. Your mother is a genetic link to you, especially your biological mother. She's given birth to you. And how I look at parenting, your mother is just someone that's had your back since day one. Okay. If you've had a correct mother, and that's what Elijah's had. I've had his back since day one. And the loyalty thing, Elijah's perspective of loyalty is different than mine. He would not be homeless or displaced if he had invested in his mother and this residence. Okay. Elijah is not a good businessman. He invested in the wrong place. Investing in Kaylin was a bad investment. It produced no good result. Okay. It produces, and the result is homelessness and a criminal record and long-term probations and court orders. That's another thing. Number 6, I'm a non-felon. If you're a felon, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. I'm just saying I'm a non-felon. So if I move in, anyone that's on a long-term court order, I'm putting the criminal justice system in my life and in my residence, and I do not want to do that anymore. I just went through that with Daniel. I just got that stuff dismissed. It makes it where you live in just like the criminal, y'all. It's a subtle way that you're criminalized as well, even though you're helping. The law knows that you have a potential criminal in your residence, and they're still on what you call papers. Okay. Any paroles, probations, any other court orders that may apply to anybody that's been in the criminal justice system. Okay. Not saying that they are bad people, but if you're not on probation, parole, or you're not on a current court order, you're not even having to do community service for anything, you should be very mindful of moving in someone that's on these. You're moving in a criminal. Okay. 7, Elijah hits on Kaylin. He hits her and beats her up to the point he's putting marks on her. And Kaylin used to hit him. I don't know if she's not hitting him anymore. Last time I heard, it's basically Elijah beating up on Kaylin. So I do not want, and I don't prefer, and I am not going to be an enabler to Elijah beating up on his girlfriend. He can't use my residence as a location to beat up on Kaylin. That's just not going to happen. It's a bad idea. Number 9, law enforcement advised me that it is a felony act to have 2 people living in your residence that has a no contact order between them. And I'm aware of the no contact order. So it is in the state I'm in, it is a felony act to allow 2 people that are restrained or that have a no contact order either on one or both parties. It is a felony act for me as a citizen to allow them to stay here. This is Narcissist and Text Messaging part 20, y'all. What was my response? So I'm giving some of my reasons on why I responded the way I did. So I'm going to reiterate this. When you get text from people saying that they need to talk to you about their situation. They need to take care of some business. Do not reply to those texts right away, especially for people that have harmed you, disrespected you, been abusive, been mean and evil. Okay. So I'm still surprised that Kaylin and Elijah were brave enough to ask me if they could stay here. They did it around, I would say around the end of June. Okay. And so since I told them I was not able to help them, I have not heard from them over the phone. I've communicated a little through Messenger with Kaylin. Number 10, kind of going back to the loyalty thing. You want to be very mindful of this. Elijah's burned a bridge with me, of course. You want to understand this. Helping someone with a one-off versus continued help. A one-off would be you go buy them groceries, you send them a cash app for $10. It's a one-off. It's not continued help. When you allow people to live with you, that's continued help. You're getting yourself in too deep. So number 10 would be Elijah, when he moved in his apartment, he was making some pretty good money. So what I kind of do is I kind of do a little character assessment of who I'm dealing with. So what I've assessed about Elijah's character, and I can go back to 2021 when he got his first paid job. He was making about $400 a week, and he worked at that for 3 months. He was a teenager. So $400 a week, that would be what, $1,600? And sometimes it was $500 a week. So Elijah brought home net pay $1,600 to $2,000. Okay. Actually, it was more on the line of $2,000, to be honest. It was a summer job. He was there for 3 months. Out of 3 months of him making $6,000, approximately $6,000 net pay, $5,000 to $6,000, Elijah only gave me $25. He spent the money on himself, jewelry, clothes, and Elijah showed his selfish nature. Okay. All he gave me was $25. So number 10, when I assess Elijah's character, he's the type of person like this. I was a major supply source for Elijah since I'm his mother. A mother that takes care of you and provides for you is a supply source for the child. I don't believe in that parents do everything for their children and the child doesn't have to repay the parent. I don't think like that. A parent is nothing but another human being that has had your back since you've been here. Some parents haven't done that. And you can treat that parent like your best friend, and you can morally, financially, and spiritually repay that person or do right by them or honor them for what they've done to you. So Elijah, on the other hand, he developed assets and riches and financial security when he moved out of here. But all of his money went to the drug dealers, to the white girl, to his landlord, to bullcrap, to Kaylin's kids. There was no loyalty, repayment, or consideration for the people that really had his back. And one of them is me. So, and I'm going to reiterate this again. I believe your mother comes before your woman, even in the financial security. thing. So this is the thing. Elijah, he had this really good mechanic job. He wasted it all on Kaylin and her children. Didn't even know if those children were his. One child has died, unfortunately. The other child is now in foster care. However, it still remains that that's where Elijah's money went. That's a bad place for it to go. If you take your money and you spend it on some lady that don't even know who her children are by, what about invest that money in the home that you were raised in? So I'm going to pay attention to that. As a Scorpio, any male that is not investing over here with me and is investing over in another area, and he ends up hitting rock bottom, I don't owe him anything. Okay. Elijah he ended up making and bringing home about $3,000 or more a month when he was working his mechanic job. Elijah wants to return here with nothing. He doesn't even have a working phone service. So I pay attention to that too. So I'm going to make that like number 11. Someone returning to my residence when everything they did build up or have is now all gone and spent on other people. It's like you're the person that's having their back when they're down and out. You don't want to be that person. You do not want to be the person that person runs to. You don't want to be that person that person runs to when they have nothing. Okay, let me check the chats and comments here. I'm still working on my voice, y'all. Jason Barnes. I don't know what the D means. Hold on. Let me read these comments. Leonard Wilson, welcome back. So Leonard Wilson says, so let me ask you a question. Am I to give 10% when I move in, or how did that work? You know, the church only asks for 10%. Hold on one second. I wouldn't ask that question. This video is about saying no to people moving in. So Leonard Wilson, let me ask you this. 10% of what? Okay, so explain 10%. All jokes aside. So if let's add it up. Let's add it up. Give a number. Let's say $2,000 a month. Somebody is very low income and they made $2,000 a month. Okay, so they made $2,000 a month. So 10% of 2,000 is what? What, $200? Yeah, $200. 10% of 2,000 is $200. So let me ask you this, Leonard. Why should someone want you to be in their residence? Let's start there. And this will help the conversation because Kaylin and Elijah, she's my son and my relative's girlfriend, right? I had a lot of problems with them. So think about it. Okay. when you have a residence, there's a lot you have to do. I paid a pretty big down payment, deposit costs, move-in costs to be here, right? So why should you move in my residence and pay 10% to move in? I was not even allowed to do that. I know it's a joke. It could be a joke, but it's like not a joke, right? It's a joke, but not a joke. So let me see. So yeah, Leonard Wilson said it was a joke. Yeah, I would be careful with especially with aware people. You might want to be careful with some of the jokes. Especially, I don't joke like that. I don't joke and say, "Can I move in people place and take and pay 10%?" I just don't do it. Because for me, I would feel like I'm violating boundaries. It's like a for me, if I talk like that, it's more like an entitled thing. But it depends on the situation. See, a lot of people, Leonard, are you someone that usually has your own place, or are you someone that's moving in with people? Because I remember the comment you made, Leonard, about the joke about putting your pickup truck in somebody's garage, right? Then let me see what Leonard says. Leonard says, I feel like this, when a person becomes a burden, or I think Leonard means when a person becomes a burden, even though they're your family, you just have to learn to say no. Yeah, when they become when someone becomes irrational, and like Elijah said, he's grown. I mean, if I was to help Kaylin and Elijah, neither one of them would listen to anything I say. Kaylin's a narcissistic sociopath, so I would go through the same thing Elijah just went through. I would be displaced. I would potentially get into fights with her and have criminal stuff on my record, being on long-term probations. The same thing he just went through, I would go through. Because the thing is, when you let Kaylin in here, she ain't going to give me 10%. She going to give me 0%. Right? That's what I'm going to get, is 0%. Yeah, I know, Leonard Wilson. I was just saying, I brought it up because it actually added to the conversation. Because I was really surprised. I mean, it's very disrespectful for my son to be asking if him and that girl could stay here. I already told him he couldn't stay. When he got out of his 1 month and a half, it was almost a month and a half incarceration, and he got out the beginning of April, I had already told him he couldn't stay here. Then he comes back, 2 months later, asking me if they both could stay. Oh, Leonard says, thank you, Leonard, so much for your participation. Leonard says he's always had his own place. At the age of 14, I was an unwanted child, so I had to make my way. Yeah, good job on your strength. Leonard says, before marriage, most people, because we're talking about getting married, it don't matter whether they married or not. Actually, them getting married would make that situation worse. This ain't even about marriage. It's, for one, there's a no contact order. They're not even supposed to be around one another. And marriage would only make that situation worse. Even if they were married, I wouldn't want a married couple in my residence having sex in my residence. That's disgusting. I don't want no married couple up in here. I don't care if they married or not. I mean, it just would make their situation triple times worse. They don't need to be married. They need to be broke up. That's what needs to happen. Them getting married puts them deeper in. And spiritually, it's not going to get any better. She don't even believe in God. I found that out September 2024. There's no belief in the Lord. She's turned on the Lord. Yeah, they are entitled, Leonard. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't put myself in that situation. I didn't. This is about narcissists and text messaging part 20 and what my response was. So I think I left off number 10 or 11. So I'll mention number 12. People must remember this. People do not remember what you say to them. In one of these lives, Elijah is on one of my lives wishing that or telling me he's going to have one of his witch friends put a death curse on me. It's actually in one of my lives. You know, I do the phone chronicles. That's in one of my lives recorded, him saying that to me. People don't forget that type of stuff, Leonard and y'all. I am never going to forget him saying that. And he actually had some friends that was into voodoo and witchcraft. And like I said on those videos, I mean, I promise you they'll treat me better than him, right? So I didn't have no problem with I met one of the ladies that was, her mother was involved. Them people, I ain't got no problem with them people. Okay. So number 12 is people don't forget what you said to them. Okay. And this is the part where people misunderstand forgiveness. You're not really supposed to be forgiving somebody for that. You're supposed to not let it bother you anymore and stuff like that. But making peace with people and forgiveness is just totally different things. So number 13, I'm going to go back to the financial thing. Elijah had an apartment. He had a good mechanic job. He's had a couple of jobs. I remember when Elijah, he had that first job in 2021. Then he came across another job around 2023, 2024, somewhere around there. And I'll never forget this. He had this payday card. It was like a Dollar General type job place. And what Elijah did was that payday card I was holding, as soon as Elijah started the hours and realized something was going to be going on that card, he came and got that card from me. So Elijah and Daniel's a little bit like this too. Elijah and Daniel's going on the same road. They like to, when they get a little job or gig, they like to not invest it in this residence. But they have no other family in this state, right, that could provide stability for them. I'm the only relative in this state that's of age that is capable of providing a residence for all my sons. But two of my sons, Elijah and Daniel, they will not invest here. They are more, they're the type of guys, from my perspective, that rather see me more poor. Okay. And I don't have that problem with my oldest son. My oldest son is more responsible, and he understands that when you live in a residence, you have to do your part. We got to survive, right? Hey, if somebody, look, 10%, check this out. What's 10% of 10,000 a month? What's that? That would be what, about 1,000? 10% of 10,000? I mean, even someone just giving the 10%, that could be enough to make it where we all can make it here. But Elijah and Daniel, like I said, Daniel's going on the same road. They're not supportive sons. They like to jump ship. They like to abandon the residence. They like to not even freaking clean up after themselves. Both of them do the same thing. When Elijah leaves here and he was doing the runaway and leaving home, and then Daniel starts up the same type of crap, they leave messes that they don't clean up. They leave items that I have to wash. They leave their trail of a mess behind that I have to clean up. And it's fine. You got to do it. You got to get the residence restored, the area that they're in, the room that they're using. I mean, I've had stuff like finding a rotten apple in my family area. And what I do with these situations, like even when Daniel was incarcerated 3 to 4 months last year. And even with him, I developed boundaries like, no, I can't give you that family area back. I can't give you that family area back and stuff like that. So you have to set limitations. When people are kind of like want to collect trash and trash your place up, you have to limit. One of the things you have to do, you cannot leave them at your residence unsupervised. 2, you have to limit the areas that you give them exposure to. Once you figure out somebody's wicked natured and they don't care about your place, and a lot of times, y'all, even if it's your own children, they're jealous of it too. That's a major reason people trash your place up or keep it dirty. It's not just because they're dirty. It's the way that they show their wickedness and hate too. You may not believe that, but it is. A lot of people don't want to even acknowledge that their own children are jealous. And the reasons they would be jealous is because they haven't worked and earned what you have in your life, even if it's just the fact you can rent. And Daniel will be the first one to say, and tell people this, if they are a person, don't respect nobody that's dirtying your place up, calling it dirty. They're actively, and I'm talking about, I just found a pissy smelling blanket. See, when your children get older, they're not 5 no more. You're not tucking them in the bed. I don't know how y'all do it, but I'm not over my 17-year-old son's bed, tucking them in, smelling shit, right? I'm not in the shower with my 16 and 17-year-olds. When they're bigger, they have more independence, and it's certain things you may not find till later because you're not micromanaging like that. I mean, this is a fairly large place. Okay, it's possible. I have a garage, 3 restrooms. It's about 2,000 square feet. You can hide a pissy blanket in here. I have several walk-in closets, a garage. There's a lot of places you can hide shit. And I won't see it till later because I am not getting up every day checking every spot in my residence. I just don't have time. If someone puts something here kind of weird, I'll eventually smell it or something like that. But What you want to do with people. This is Narcissist and Text Messaging Part 20. If anyone ever says, well, that's dirty in your house, that's this or that, that's that, this is what you want to say. It ain't as dirty as your soul and your heart. And you are the dirt. It is nothing as dirty in my residence as your black ass. That's what you got to tell them, because the thing is, it will be true. I'm going to promise you this. I've seen this, y'all. Anybody that's calling something dirty about somebody else, they are dirtier than everyone. We just had a situation with Daniel when he got his case dismissed. He even talked about dirt that day. But I just ended up washing his pissy ass blanket out. Now, I'm, of course, much, much older than Daniel. I don't have a pissy ass fucking blanket. If I had a caregiver, if I had a medical crisis right now, I don't have a motherfucking pissy ass blanket. But Daniel had one. I just found it. It was Christmas colored too. There was 2 blankets. One of them was smelling okay, but the other one smelled like piss. So that means before he started hanging out at these friends' house, and that's another thing, a person that calls somebody else's areas of their house dirty or whatever, they're the main one creating dirt and not cleaning it up. At the end of the day, that pissy ass blanket, I had to wash it. I gotta wash it. It's like new now. It's like new. It's literally like new, okay? But, and it wasn't pissy enough to really throw it out. It's hot water, some bleach, some fabric softener, wash it 3 times, soak it, pure hot water, it's done. It wasn't that pissy. Okay. If something has gone too far, I'll just throw it in the garbage. It could be saved, but it had a pissy aroma on it. So you got to remember that about people. So I would say I think I'm probably at 13 now, number 13. Elijah and Kaylin, they also stayed with Miss Angel. And she reported their behavior, the nastiness and stuff like that. So filthiness. You got to get rid of people that are nasty. I don't have the time to clean up after Kaylin and Elijah. They're filthy. And I already deal with that here and have had those issues with the people that live here already, especially Daniel. There was one day where he had up to 4 bags of garbage up under one of the blankets in his bed. Now, when I gave him the bed, when he got out of jail last year, the bed was spotless clean, but he collect garbage, and that's something that they'll do when they're on vape. That vape shit. Also, I just found out from Miss K that vape has formaldehyde in it, and there was just a death of this 24-year-old male that smoked vape for 2 years, and the vape, because it has formaldehyde in it, it hardened his lungs, and they were not able to save his life. His lungs were hardened. They couldn't save his life, and they determined that it was the formaldehyde, an ongoing 2-year use of vape, that did this to this 24-year-old male. I just found this out from Miss K about a week ago. Now, I've informed Daniel about this, but he's still smoking it. So I guess his desire is to be in the same situation. It's already damaging his heart and lungs. Active damage. You know, it's like a form of just suicide. So number 13, the filthiness, right? Number 14. Kaylin and Elijah, they're abusive bullies. So they would have been, I would have had to get the police involved. Um, they would have been calling me old bitches, shut up, we can do what the fuck we want to do. They might have tried to fight me. I wasn't gonna put it past them. I know that when Kaylin put her fist in my side in September 2024, when the police came out, Elijah did her. He did. And the police told me, he pointed and said, stay out of there. And I never went back in that apartment. Um, Number 15, Elijah behaves more like an undiagnosed psychopath. Kaylin is a narcissistic sociopath, which means she doesn't have much of a conscience neither, but she's a narcissistic sociopath because she needs to have supply. Okay. She's a supply driven, and that's all I am to Elijah and Kaylin. Since they've asked me if they could stay here, they have not called me, checked me. I'm nothing to them. Number 15, I just don't want to live. Believe it or not, when people move out of your residence, you decide you don't want to live with those people anymore. Number 16, I'm going to kind of recreate one of the ones I already went over. Watch someone that they want to come back, but coming back to you is always when they broke, when they don't have nothing. And I mean nothing. If I let Elijah come back here, he don't even come back here with brushed teeth. He has decided that he does not have to brush his teeth anymore. Literally. You can't have that kind of filth. And see, when people get older, like Elijah says, he's grown, right? This is Narcissist and Text Messaging, part 20. What was my response? And what was my response to Kaylin and Elijah asking to come back here? Like I said earlier, one of my responses was to not reply to the text right away. Begin to treat some of your texts like emails. I'll say number 16, 17, whatever it be. Number 16, I have to remember the violence that ensued once I had finally sometimes, told Elijah he couldn't be here when he was on punishment and stuff like that. I remember Elijah, he kicked my patio door one time. This is when he was around the time he was doing like robberies in the neighborhood. So there is a physical act of violence that Elijah is willing to do to property that I'm paying for when it's time for him to go, or he feels like he can't get in for the night because of something that he's done. That's when he was a teenager, but he's actively fighting and beating up on his girlfriend, Kaylin. Number 17. What if he unalives her? If I was to let him stay, that can happen. You let an abuser, 2 abusers you let in your house. Leonard Wilson. Daniel's in his later teen years, in the last of his teen years. No, I wasn't saying he was 17 per se. I was just giving an example of an age of some of the ages that Elijah and Daniel has gone through. So, oh, hi, Solid G. Welcome back. We got Leonard in here as well. Let me see. Oh yeah, Leonard Wilson was saying earlier they sound entitled. Yes, Leonard, they are very entitled. Very, very entitled. So Leonard Wilson says, I was speaking about the conversation we had when you brought up the topic when I said parking. I think I said their RV in their garage. That's what I was referring to. Yeah, I remember that. And I laughed about it. It was funny. So Leonard Wilson says they sound toxic, bad demonstration, something bad gonna happen. One of them, and they're going to spend a lot of time someplace to think about what they did to the other. Sad demonstration, sis. Yes, I agree with that. So Leonard Wilson says that's wicked all the way around. I wouldn't even talk to a person like that. I don't need no more anything put on me. Yeah, but it's a son, right? See, that's the thing. Just having limits, and it was months and months that Elijah and I wouldn't talk. But that's part of true forgiveness, making peace with the people. See, I've made peace. Time has passed. I've talked to Elijah about that. It is in the past. Kaylin was pretty mean too. She um 38 hours before her baby died, she was talking about my father died from smoking cigarettes. My mother was dead. I lost some of my children. She said some pretty wicked stuff to me as well. And within 38 hours, she was almost going through my life all over again. Anybody's child can die. Anybody can lose primary custody of a child. Her son Imani, he's like a ward of the state now, and he's in a better place. Like I told Kaylin, she should leave him in foster care. Imani does not need to be her oldest son. Imani is what about? He would be about. He's almost 2 years old. Okay, he does not need to be in a domestic violence residence with a woman that's too lazy to take him to the doctor. There's drug abuse going on around him. Elijah's punching her in her face, from what I'm told, while she's holding Imani. It's very dangerous for young children or any child to be raised in Elijah and Kaylin's care, and that's one of the reasons the baby has passed away. Yeah, that medical examination and autopsy, it can say natural causes. However, I know it's not completely natural. Kaylin wouldn't take Jamani to the hospital. Oftentimes, she would take him to the wrong place. The doctor and I would recommend that she took him to the major children's hospital in the major city, and she would decide to take him to an urgent care place, that doesn't even specialize in pediatric care. The child was medically neglected. Okay. And it's not fully natural. They can say it's natural, but I know I used to Kaylin and tell her I was going to call CPS. Before the baby died, I had reported to the police that she thought it was okay for one of the children to eat feces, which is Imani. And that's why Imani's better off in foster care. I bet you they don't feed him shit in there. He looks real good on his photos. He's no longer eating doo-doo. So this is how corrupt her parenting is. And if Kaylin would have listened to me years and years ago, I told her to put both of those boys up for adoption. And she didn't listen. And now one of them's deceased. Oh, Leonard Wilson says, I put my daughter out because she didn't have respect for my home, but she also brought 2 kids with her, and I gave her 90 days to get on her feet, and I seen what she did with her money. What did she do with her money, Leonard? Leonard says, thank you so much, dear heart, Leonard. Leonard says, and I seen what she did with her money. and I put her behind out right with my grandchildren, but I don't I don't know if she found some place to go. You don't know if she found, laugh out loud. You don't know if she found somewhere to go. And a lot of people won't approve of the grandchildren thing, but I'm going to say this. You got to put them all out. See, the grandchildren is a way. A lot of people will read Leonard's statement and they'll say, this man is evil as fuck. Not me, though, because you got to get rid of all they asses. Okay? Because the grandchildren are just pawns. And unfortunately, this is another piece of this. You know, I've talked about this in other videos on why I'm done with kids. Not to talk about your daughter, Leonard, but the children are going to be a product of her. They're going to be the same. And see, as you age, like we was talking about, Leonard, with your medical stuff going on, you just don't need that type of stress around you. And the sooner you can get them out, the better. They're all toxic. Sometimes they kids be running around the house talking shit to you too. So, Leonard says, see, you might forgive, but you don't forget, and you know how the person is. There's no deliverance. There's no change in them. I would love that person with the long hair. Well, yeah. Yeah. Leonard Wilson, so many men and ladies have had to get their damn trifling ass daughters and sons out and the grandkids. Now, the mistake is often made not getting rid of the grandkids too. Sometimes you're able to keep the grandkids. Every situation is different. But trust me, when the kids gotta go too, were the kids disrespectful, Leonard Wilson, if you don't mind me asking? Were your biological grandchildren disrespectful? Thank you so much for the like, Sean. Were they like acting up when you told them to clean up? They didn't want to clean up and stuff? Even their own stuff. When I say clean up, they don't want to clean their own stuff. And see, once they get of age, like with Elijah, he's decided not to brush his teeth. I can't have that shit in my house. I don't care whose son he is. I cannot have no person in my residence or anywhere around me that is refusing to brush their damn teeth. I'm not saying I have perfect dental care. I got some upcoming dental appointments I need to make for the entire family. You know, sometimes you get behind on your dental cleaning and stuff. It's fine. I mean, people do it, you get busy, but it ain't no point where I have decided to not brush my motherfucking teeth no more. And I cannot have that in my residence. And see, like Elijah said, he's grown. This is what he means when he says he's grown. He said it when he was at Miss Angel's house. Both of them had stayed at Miss Angel's house separate, but Miss Angel let them stay there together for a few days on and off so she could see their interaction. And Miss Angel said she felt lonely. You know, it's like they all cuddled up in their world and they not talking to Miss Angel much. Miss Angel expressed to me that she felt lonely even though Kaylin and Elijah was in her residence. And that's because they don't love Miss Angel. They don't respect her as a Black woman, and they were just using her. And they not contacting her. Since she said they can't come over no more, they not contacting her as well. Kaylin's a white girl, and she thinks that the Black community is there to supply her needs. Kaylin and Elijah said they would just stay with me for a month. I'm not going to be able to get them out in a month. And they are part of a domestic violence relationship. So the police would be back up around here. It messes up my peace, right? It messes up my peace. But I'll make a number. Yeah, she was keeping him for a check, Leonard. She sure was. And that's why she wants the oldest son out. She wants the welfare check. Yeah, that's why she want him out. I wouldn't care about no welfare check. I would just go get me a job and I would leave him in foster care. If I ever decided that the meal of choice for the day is feces and shit, and I decided that that's what's for lunch and dinner today, I would have enough sense to say the child deserves better. But see, Kaylin's a narcissistic sociopath, and I'm not. So she has the ability to have more empathy for that child. I would let that child go. I would say, I'm fucking insane. I feed my motherfucking baby shit, and the child deserves better. I would never want them back. I would tell the state, don't have them call me, and I would just give up my rights. That's what I would do. I wouldn't do them like that. Yes, but Leonard's right. Leonard Wilson is right. That's what it's all about, and it's still about that. She's not getting a check for the baby boy because he passed away. But she wants to hang on to that check for the firstborn. She's with Elijah now. They're in and out of hotels and motels. And that's the thing, too, with this narcissist and text messaging part 20. What was my response? There also needs to be an emotional response to this as far as understanding. And I think about this. Elijah and Kaylin, they're in and out of motels and hotels. But this is the thing, y'all. A year and a half before they got evicted, I told Kaylin and Elijah to start calling the community helpline and telling them that they're homeless. Because Elijah thought he could just stay in that place for free for years. I said, call the community helpline and start telling them that you're already homeless so they can get you a transitional housing or shelter. Kayla needs to go back to the shelter where Elijah met her at. This is Narcissism Text Messaging Part 20. What was my response? The text message thing is a major attack mode that can destroy your life. Because they're sending the message through text, asking for assistance. And it's a Hoover. It's to suck you back in or suck you in. You might not even be sucked in. The disrespect in it is this too. Kaylin is not even allowed to visit my residence. I dislike her behavior so much. She's never been allowed as a visitor. So think of the disrespect of Elijah to even allow her He has no love and respect for me. He shouldn't even have allowed her to ask me that. He should have said, look, don't ask my mother if you can stay because my mother does not even let you visit her residence. He could have even said, girl, my mother don't like you. Don't ask my mother that. My mother does not like you. That's why she don't let you come visit. My mother does not accept you, Kaylin. She talked to you on the phone because she's a decent lady and she don't want to be mean, and that's her way of forgiving you and making peace with you. But do not ask my mother if you can stay. Don't ask my mother if we can stay. That's what a real son would have did. Actually, the red flag that it wouldn't have worked out and they both were brutally going to disrespect me and have no regard for me as a human is them asking me that. That's a threatening question that they ask me. Them asking me to stay is on a similar level of asking me or telling me they want to unalive me. Both of them have violent tendencies towards me. Elijah has threatened me numerous times and other family members. Kaylin has been highly disrespectful. She touched me with her fist in the side, September 2004. I reported it to the police. I have not seen Kaylin since then. Since that incident happened, September 2024, I have not seen Kaylin in person. However, I have seen Elijah one time. And that's because I went to go get his phone out of police custody and evidence. I already did a video about that. And Elijah came to my door when he wasn't supposed to, and I had to tell him, don't do that again. Yeah, but they not going to leave in a month, Leonard. We know they ain't. They just saying that to get in. Let me see what my Leonard said. So Leonard Wilson says, you let them stay for a month. They start getting mail delivered to your house. You have to evict them. And why would anybody want to go through something like that? I don't evict people. I ain't going to lie. I'm going to be honest with you with this. I don't give a damn about civil law when it comes to eviction. I don't have time for that. What I do is I don't give people my keys. So, see, I'm not that type of Negro. This is how I am. And you might consider this like a temperament thing, right? I'm primary on the lease. There's no other co-applicants on my lease. I work for it. I got credit approved for this. So I don't evict. Yeah, I evict your ass all right enough. I call the police. I lock your ass out. You come to the door, I make your ass stand outside. I cannot live with somebody I no longer want here. And I don't give you no motherfucking mail. Even if I was to help Kaylin and Elijah, I'm not going to give them no mail of no kind. I don't allow anyone to get mail at my residence except the people that I add to my lease. And those people would be under other occupants. So that eviction stuff, I'm not going through that. I would go file a restraining order first, to be honest. That would be how they would get evicted. But you don't want to assume that a restraining order is something that you would even be eligible for. I would easily qualify for a restraining order. Even if I filed a restraining order against Kaylin and Elijah right now, I would be eligible for one. Even a police officer was just telling me to file on her. stick to consistency and you don't let them around your place and visit, it's no need to restrain them. All you got to do is stick to, don't come around here. If I see you in the neighborhood, I'm going to file a restraining order. Leonard Wilson says, I think I told you, but I've been single for 5 years by choice because I'm just not going to take anything that someone wants to offer me when it comes to a spouse. Yeah. Leonard, why are you so, this is the thing. Okay. I gave you some advice, right? On the last video. A spouse. What? Okay, think about it. What is somebody before they become a spouse? They're a friend or somebody you're getting to know, right? So that's where it begins. You want them to be your spouse because it's biblical? Is that what it is? Due to your spiritual life, you would rather they be a husband or wife. Why do you want a spouse? That's what I want to ask. Leonard Wilson, give me a few reasons why you want to have a spouse, which would mean a wife. Why do you want a wife? And I'm not downgrading it. I just want to know the reasons. What's the purpose of a wife for you? Companionship? You like lonely or something? What is it? Especially in today's world. You got to remember what the options are. Most of the really decent ladies and men are already with someone. See, because like people would just get leftovers. Leftover toxic men and women. So I'm curious to know why you want a spouse. And I'm not saying it to be funny. I just want to know, what's your reason that you want a spouse? In today's world, is it financial? What is it? What's the root of it? Is it loneliness? What is it? Hold on one second. I'm checking the comments here. Oh, your daughter found somewhere to go? Leonard Wilson, that earlier comment, is that about your daughter finding somewhere to go? So that's a good comment you put. So I'm a hold on. So this is the thing. This is gonna be the twist to this. This is gonna be the twist to this. And you will find this very interesting. Very, very interesting. Hold on. You know what fraud is, right? And I talked to the shelter about this. So, okay. The comment Leonard Wilson says, what, he met her in a shelter? How did he think they would build anything if either one of them have nothing? Elijah had something. Elijah had this residence. Okay. So he was playing homeless. See, he played homeless so long that he's actually legitimately homeless now. Elijah was on my lease. Okay. So Elijah was like a runaway, wild, want to do drugs type of guy. Kaylin was really homeless. Kaylin's mother passed away when she was 11 years old. So she had to survive without a mother. Elijah had something. He had two brothers and a mother. And a mother that was repeatedly telling him to come home. I talked to the shelter about it. See, the shelter, I told the shelter, I said, why do you have him there when you know he's on a lease? I don't know what the rules are for that, but Elijah had something. He doesn't have it anymore because I'm not going to allow him back here. He burned a bridge. But Kaylin was homeless, not Elijah. Kaylin was there. He wanted to be at that particular shelter because he had easy access to drugs, inclusive of vape, marijuana, and other drugs, pills, drugs, vape. He wanted to be wild. He wanted to smoke. He wanted to get girlfriends and hang out with bad people. He wanted to be wild and do what he wanted to do. He also wanted to, any money that he earned, he didn't want to have to pay any bills. And that backfires. That backfired. Believe it or not, that led him to more poverty. See, because in this residence here, I'm not deep in credit card debt. I'm not deep in vehicle debt. Yes, we have very high rent. We do. But because and it's a choice I made. I made a choice to not be in credit card debt and in a lot of debt I could be in. Over the past 7 years, I paid off some pretty big bills. I had I owed like 7 or 8,000 on one of my bills. I paid it off, got that straightened out. I need to check my credit report to make sure it's reflecting on my credit report properly. But there's some, things I paid off. And so Kaylin didn't have anything, but Elijah did. And him pretending like he didn't have a family and a home, he ended up being on her level. Leonard Wilson says, okay, so, okay, Leonard Wilson says, well, look at it like this. He doesn't have any respect for you. And what makes you think he would say anything to her about the way you feel about her? This is just sad and sick, all made up in one package. Yes, I agree. He wouldn't do that. I'm just saying what he should be doing. Yeah, he didn't do it. You're right, Leonard. But for me to even allow the question to be asked to me, can they stay? It was disrespectful. He's not looking out for me. So Leonard Wilson says, but in most states, if you call the police at their residence, you have to open the door and let them in. They don't enforce that anymore. So what they do now, this is the new thing. Police in this state on the West Coast and in a lot of states, they're no longer enforcing the you have to let them in. The police don't enforce that. If I say, no, I'm not letting them in, then they tell the person you have to go to civil court. So they'll advise the person that you're not letting in. Anyone that doesn't have a key, if they don't have a key, you can lock anybody out pretty much. If I got locked out, they would let me back in because I'm primary. I'm an applicant, right? But anybody else under, they got the other occupants thing. And so if they're just under other occupants, they don't have much control of the place. It's like you're just being honest and letting them know other people are living there. But if they're just under other occupants, you don't have to give them a key. You literally don't have to. So the other occupants category is a weaker place to be. That's it's okay to be there. I'm not downgrading it. I mean, if I was on somebody's lease and I was under co-applicant or other occupants, fine. You're still on a lease. However, they have no control. If they're under other occupants, I can decide at any time. I can go into the leasing office and take them off my lease the same day. I can go into the leasing office and say, I don't want this person here anymore, and I want them removed. I already did it with Elijah. And they just removed the person because the applicant or the primary applicant, which would be me, is asking for them to be removed. Now, a co-applicant may have a little bit more power. That's when a landlord will say, well, you have to take them to court to evict them because they're a co-applicant, but not the area where it's other occupants. Okay. Yeah, so they changed that enforcing of the police, and the police told me this, they no longer can make you let somebody in your house. The police are removing their liability too, because what's happened is there's been cases where the police have said, Shirley or Bill got to come back in. You got to let them back in. And then Shirley killed Bill and Bill killed Shirley the same night sometimes. So the police have removed a lot of their liability, and they'll sometimes they'll say, okay, well, she's here, let her back in. Or he's here, let him back in. But if you refuse, if you say, nope, I ain't letting them back in, the police can't do nothing. They just tell the person, you got to take it to civil court. She or he is not letting you back in. But yeah, years ago, they used to enforce that here. They used to make people let people back in. But in this state, they're not doing it anymore. On the West Coast, where I'm at, that's changed. Now, in other states, the police may enforce it and make you feel like you're going to be under arrest if you don't let them back in. So Leonard Wilson says, marriage is what my grandmother instilled in me. So I guess I have an old head when it comes to that. Did your grandmother have a good marriage? Was it happy? Or was it one of those, she just stayed in it? Was it really a happy one? Yeah, because I watched a lot of videos about that grandmother stuff. Most of them grandmas had some miserable marriages. And, sometimes they want you to be in the same prison sentence they was in. Hold on one second. I'm checking these comments. Hold on one second, Leonard, y'all. Yeah, Leonard, I get what you're saying. So, Leonard, what you're saying is he didn't have anything because that's yours. That's your something, but it's for the family, right? So the reason I said he did have something, because for one, when you left the comment, you said, let me go back to the comment, because you said he got her in a shelter, right? And he didn't have anything, but it's ours, right? See, Elijah's my son. So he did have something. When he went to that shelter, he was on my lease. So it's not true that he didn't have anything. He had a place to go. He had a residence. If you on my lease, you do have something. She didn't have anything because she didn't have her mother and she was not on a lease of anybody in her family. She also, her family is pretty much in no contact with her. So what I was saying was this. Okay, let me go back to the comment. Okay, the comment originally said, but he met her in a shelter. How did he think they would build anything if neither one of them have nothing? So I'm going to say it again. He did have something. He had a mother, two brothers, and a residence. She didn't have any of that. And what's mine is theirs because these are my sons. He was legally still on my lease. Like I said, I called the shelter because I didn't want him there. I wanted Elijah back home. I did not want him in that shelter. I called those people and I asked them, why do they have a kid there? Because, you know, he was still a kid to me. He was about what? He's about 18, something like that. Yeah, 18 in that shelter. So I'm going to reiterate once again, because one of the things I do here, Leonard, is I go off facts. So, see, Kaylin and Elijah, when they were at that shelter, they were not in the same situation. She's without a family, inclusive of a mother. And I'm not happy about that. She has a deceased mother as well that died when she was 11. So Elijah did have something. He also had financial support as well. Because when you have a family that has financial support and they're willing to support you, you do have something. It's just like my grandmother raised me most of my life. So I did have something. Yeah, it was my grandmother's restaurant, but I was not without anything. I had plenty of money. I was never without a residence. So, like you said, they met in a shelter and they both didn't have nothing. That's not true. Elijah did have something. He had a residence, a mother, and two brothers. He had clothes, food, a little bit of money in the house. He would have been provided for. He would have had the correct support to find a better job, a stable job, and everything. He had community support. Mr. Sabino's passed away, but Mr. Sabino, before he passed away of cancer, he did a lot for the neighborhood children to try to get them back on track. He was a man from Mexico. But I miss Mr. Sabino, and I miss him being in the neighborhood, putting these kids in their place and everything. He was from Mexico. Yeah, but Mr. Sabino died of cancer. I'll love him forever. But him and we really looked out for these kids. So once again, Leonard says, he didn't have nothing because it's mine. No, it's the children's too. When your parents have something, when your parents have a place to stay and have a residence for you and they're willing to let you stay, then the child does have something. She didn't have anything. And I've described the major differences. Kaylin did not have a mother because her mother died when she was 11. Kaylin also, her whole family's in no contact with her, pretty much. And Kaylin was not on anybody's lease. There was no one asking Kaylin to return home. So Kaylin did not have nothing. Kaylin also does not have siblings that wanted her back. Elijah had two brothers that preferred that he be back at home, I think, as well for some time. So once again, Kaylin didn't have nothing. When you're in a shelter and you have somewhere to go, you do have something. Because the person, even though, like you said, I work for it, is what you're saying, I'm willing to share it with my son. So he has something. He ain't got nothing now because he can't come back. So now he ain't got nothing. He got nothing now, but back then he did. And if Kaylin would have been the right type of girl, if Kaylin would have been the right type of girl, I'm the type of mother like Isaiah. If he met his wife, because I was raised in St. Louis, called 2 family flats and 4 family flats. So I believe in families living together. I really do. So I'm the type of mother, if like if one of my sons met the right type of girl and wanted to get married, like if Isaiah right now, if he met the woman of his dreams, he could move her in. If I meet her and they in love and Isaiah say, this is my wife, and I feel it in my soul, the place is spacious enough. I could give him my garage or something. So if Elijah would have had the right type of girl, Kaylin would have had something as well. But it's just she's a narcissistic sociopath. And I knew early on it wasn't right. So yeah, once again, Elijah did have something. Because for number one, he was not actually homeless. He's telling the shelter he's homeless. And this is another amazing thing. He was like the only one at that shelter that was doing that too. Those other kids had actually been put out, or their parents were deceased. One child there, his family was in a whole nother country. They was in Africa. And Elijah was like the only one there doing that. It was very abnormal. Most people that are at a shelter actually are really displaced or homeless. Elijah wasn't. He was there to get the dope. That's truly how it was. So yeah, the facts are he was not without nothing. Oh yeah, Leonard Wilson says, I'll tell you why the shelter had him there. It's about funding. The more bodies, the more beds that they have filled, the more money they get from the government, because I work at the shelter. Yeah, exactly. Leonard Wilson says, to me, he sounds like a predator and he found a sucker just as toxic as he is. Sad demonstration. Yeah, and Elijah is predatory in nature. He absolutely is. I would agree with that. I've called him that before too. And it's okay to do it and say it if it's true. I think it would be an injustice for me to call him anything outside of what his description is. Oh, and let's say at that. Let's make that what? I lost track of the numbers. 18. Thank you, Leonard Wilson, for that. So, what was my response? Because this is Narcissist and Text Messaging Part 20. What was my response on why I didn't help Kaylin and Elijah and allow them to stay here when they asked? Is because they're both predators. She's a predator too. Like Leonard said, he met his match. That would be number 18. Number 19, you don't wish that you don't tell me you're going to get a witch to put a death curse on me and unalive me and think I'm going to let you stay. I'm never going to forget that. Like I said, it's in one of my lives. It's in one of my lives. Oh, let me see. Oh, let's talk about the grandmother. My grandmother raised me to be married, then shacking up and playing house. And yes, that is my religious beliefs. I'm not saying get married to someone overnight, but that is a goal. Yeah, and that's an okay goal if that's your goal. How do I get a hold of you when you're not online? I don't know. I think you had mentioned you was going to give me your email address or something. I don't have my phone number or anything attached to these lives or anything like that. I've never had anyone ask me that as well. So I think from my memory, anyone asking me how to get a hold of me when I'm not online, I haven't had that happen. Hold on one second. Let me get caught up on these comments. You mentioned that you would leave an email or something. I didn't see that on anything. Hold on one second, Leonard, y'all. Yeah, I'm kind of more open-minded. I'm gonna be honest with you. I know some people, one couple in particular, they have been together, God, probably over 30 years, right? And they own a home together. They never got married legally. They don't have a legal marriage. But you know what's kind of really unique about their relationship? Her baby daddy, they have one child together. That's all they got is one child. Both of them are extremely responsible, very moral people. And they didn't do the marriage thing. And their relationship is very successful. They've outlived, while everybody else has gotten divorced, they're still together. They own a home together. You got to remember this, people that don't do the marriage paperwork, they still own properties together. They still have life insurance policies on one another. And some of them are actually happy. Okay. And I've seen quite a bit of that. So it's made me question, is marriage always necessary? I'm sorry, y'all. My hoarse throat and this cough, yeah. So sorry about that, y'all. But marriage is a power and control thing. It is. Some people get married and the relationship just totally fails. It really does. What I would suggest is with marriage, make sure it's your morals because it's your morals, not just because someone else taught it to you. Let me see. Leonard Wilson says marriage is not for everybody, just like going to college or going into the military. But I would consider like the one couple I'm talking about that has the one daughter. I would consider that just like a marriage. It's just not a piece of paper. You got people. Let me explain it to you this way. What's a marriage? A marriage is the agreement two people make to be faithful. So let me tell you what this couple has. They've been together over 30 years. They got one daughter. They don't cheat on one another, right? They both were great parents to their daughter. Their daughter is very successful. Okay. Now they own a home together. Now picture this. They got all of that. They just don't have the marriage paper. Now picture this. A married couple that has the paperwork. Oh, and let me add this. Both of them bring in financial stability. So they got financial stability on a home. They don't cheat on one another. They're great parents and their daughter is successful. Now look at this. A married couple with the paperwork. They don't have none of this. They living on the street, no financial stability, nobody works. They're on drugs. They're cheating on one another, beating on one another. All their kids in foster homes, and none of their children are successful in any way, but they're legally married. Which one would you rather be? I would rather be the first situation. The couple that's been together 30 years with the one daughter. I'm bringing this up to say marriage for a lot of people, it's just paperwork. You got to remember that. What makes a marriage is the substance of the relationship, the bond, the commitment. That's a marriage. From my perspective, the couple that's been together 30 years with the daughter, they are married to me. They don't even cheat on one another. Most married people struggle in that area. That's one of the things a lot of married people can't stop doing is cheating on one another. The piece of paper means nothing. It's just a piece of paper that a lot of times it's like a court order that's not honored or not enforced. That's literally what most marriages are, and most end in divorce. The average marriage in the United States ends in divorce. So I said my next relationship, if I ever was to have one with a man, I would look more for the substance of the relationship, the things that a marriage should have. Like I said, financial stability on a home, lease, rent, whatever. They don't cheat, great parents, successful children. Doesn't mean they're perfect children, but successful children. I've seen a lot of crappy marriages. Let me see. Leonard Wilson says it sounds like two goofies. They didn't marry out of love, they married out of lust. You talking about the ones that cheat on one another? Like if they're legally married, but they'll cheat on one another? Leonard Wilson, how can you send me an email? How does that happen? Because I haven't put an email on this account. How do you send me an email if I haven't given you my email address? What email are you sending it to? Because the first day when you came in the live, you said that you would type your email out, right? Now you're saying you're going to send me one. You're going to send me what email to where? Because where is it on my Advanced Insight channel where it has my email? Because I haven't wrote one down. So I'm just wondering how that's possible. Please explain, Leonard Wilson. Let me see. Leonard Wilson says you would always want to be the first one in a perfect world. But you know, when you meet someone, they all come with baggage of some kind. I don't believe that. I don't. I don't believe that when you meet someone, baggage is considered like kind of like a burden, right? I don't believe everyone has baggage. I don't. I think there's issues people have, but baggage is kind of like a bad thing. It's heavy, it's like a burden. I don't believe that. I don't believe that I don't believe when I meet the right man that he's going to have baggage. I know some borderline perfect relationships. I do. And I just named one. The couple that's been together 30 years. They don't have the average problem. The average problem that most married people have, they don't have them. And I've known these people since they were in their early 20s, right? And I know both of them separately. And I've been around them, sat around them. They're just really compatible. Sometimes you just can get a compatible match. And through intellect, see, it took intelligence for this couple to learn. I sat with the lady one day, it was some years ago, and we was talking about marriage. And she said, Irene, what about balance? You got to find a middle point. She was telling me then, consider not marrying and looking at it different. And then, like in Islam, you don't have to make your marriage legal where the government is having record of it. A lot of Islamic marriages, I'm just naming that religion as one example. Some of them do the marriage license with the courts, but some of them just do the ceremony and they don't do the marriage. Yeah, you said, Leonard says, I didn't say anything about sending you an email. I've been trying to send you my email. You did, but it's not here, Leonard. So saying you gonna give me your email, you ain't gave it to me. Yeah, and then you were saying earlier, yeah, in the message earlier, you said I did send you my email address several times. Yeah, you said I wasn't able to see. Yeah, and I don't know how YouTube guidelines are. Yeah, Leonard Wilson says he's talking about them cheating on one another and didn't get themselves together before they decide to find someone to bring into their lives. Some people believe in having more than one person. See, that's the problem with marriages. Like some people believe in polygamy. So they're getting married, but their belief system doesn't match up with a traditional marriage in the US. Some people will tell people ahead of time. Like some men will say, I gotta have 4 or 5 women, and the woman just won't listen, or the lady won't listen to them. Some people telling you right up front. Some people might meet you and ask you if you want to meet the other person. Some people will meet you and say, they want you to be their side chick or side dude. People do not listen to what people say. And that's a really bad thing when people aren't listening to you. Some men will tell you, some ladies will tell you they don't want to be married. People not listening to that neither. Some people will wait around 15, 20, 30 years. Oh, he'll change his mind. She'll change her mind. They already told you they never want to be married. And it don't mean that they're making dumb decisions as well. Some people are making extremely wise decisions when they say they don't want to be married. Because some people are not cut out for it. And I mean, they are not cut out for it. Let me look at some more of these comments. Leonard Wilson, thank you for being so active in the chat. I appreciate you. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, y'all, for coughing earlier, but the hoarse throat, I'm still recovering. Still ain't went to the hospital. I need to go do that. Still having like the little chest pains. Hold on. Hold on, I'm just looking over these comments. Oh, Leonard Wilson, you still work at a shelter right now? Or did you work at one? I think you said you was there right now. Hold on one second. I'm just looking through these comments. In my marriage, in my past, I wasted a lot of years, right? That I just can't get back, right? And for me, especially when you marry the wrong person, you're wasting your life away. And you only get one life. You only get one. You got to be careful who you intermingle with. Hold on, I'm looking at these comments. Making sure I didn't miss any. Um, so um so Leonard says you was talking about when that girl talking about Kaylin, and I was telling you I met someone that had 8 children and she didn't have not one of them. They were in the system. Leonard Wilson says, I find you to be an interesting person, especially with your point of views. Yes, thank you. And we all have a right to our perspectives. My perspectives, um, they come with experience, a lot of life that I've seen, not just all my experiences. I've seen some things, y'all. I got to do some videos about some of the things you'll see in juvenile court. I was just at this hearing. I sat in these hearings. I sat in about, let me see, 3 to 4 hearings. And there was this one young black male. Gosh, she had robbed about 20 different stores and stuff. Sitting in court, no parents, no relatives, no nothing. I mean, it was horrible. Then Isaiah went to the juvenile court with me, and he was out there, and he was sitting in the hallway, and he saw some black girl with a baby talking mad crazy to her mom. So I missed that drama. I volunteer and I participate on the juvenile board, and I do these Zoom meetings and stuff. So I'm down there at the courthouse here and there, and also supporting Daniel as well with finalizing his stuff. And that's been going on for years, just supporting my own son. And that's how I came into the work. And Daniel, at one point, he was participating in the juvenile board team too, helping out. Oh, yeah. So congratulations, Leonard Wilson. You said you're a chief at the Salvation Army. Yes, congratulations. Did you get the message where I said that I'm out of the hospital? Um, oh, congratulations. I'm glad you're out of the hospital, Leonard Wilson. Oh, yeah, you said you met someone that had 8 children and she didn't have not one of them. They were in the system. So why were all of her children in the system? What happened? Were they all removed at one time? What's the on that? Do you know? Because that's a lot of children to be in the system. Is she a prior drug addict? What happened? Was she in domestic violence? Why 8 children and they all in the system? That's a lot of kids to be in the system. What in the world happened? Yeah, the Salvation Army is a great organization. I love the Salvation Army. So, and they have a very broad and main scale services that they offer. Salvation Army is so much more than just shelter. They offer a lot nowadays. Okay, so Leonard Wilson says that's part of being honest and coming into a relationship, and that gets the person the opportunity they want to deal with you or not. Yeah, yeah. Honesty is always best. Honesty is always best. I feel like this. It's so much to do. Like I watch a lot of videos. Carl Jung, he was a famous psychiatrist. Machiavelli. I mean, it's a lot of videos on or being solo, having a solo life. It's there's this other YouTuber, she talks about um a lot of the dependency that ladies have on men. Um Most of the time, I'm just going to be quite frank. In most relationships, you're kind of your growth is being stunted, especially husband wife relationships. In some cases, that's not the case, but a lot of times growth is being stunted, and I'm talking about that emotional growth. But if you marry the right person, they can help you emotionally as well. I think marrying the right person is probably key. But for me, it's so much stuff you can do with your time, right? That, to be quite frank, if you chose not to be married, you can be very, very busy, right? And I mean so busy to where you actually do not have the time for a spouse or a husband or wife. Me just uploading these videos, y'all, it's a especially when you do it consistently, right? And it's work, it's dedication, and it's my way of helping the community and people and viewers. Because a lot of the things I'll say, a lot of people ain't never heard it. Because everybody's like average, right? They just think average. Like when Leonard was saying earlier, he had to put his daughter and the children out, the grandchildren. He can go to some channels and say that, and they say he the devil or something. They're just really ignorant out there. I mean, people do not have enough experience and diversity to understand. Sometimes you got to let the whole package go. So you won't be sicker. Most grandchildren, they gonna be just like their parents. I'm telling you. Look, let me tell you what I did. I went to my relative's funeral some years ago, and her son was there at the cemetery. I walked up to him. My instinct told me leave him alone, but I walked up to him to talk to him. That little boy kept his back to me. I said, "How you feeling?" He said he's sad, and I had compassion for that. But that little boy kept his back to me. And what I did, I ran it across my aware narcissist, my ex, right? I called him an aware narcissist because he proudly claims he's one. Goddamn right, I'm a narcissist. So, okay, I'm not disrespecting a man when I call him an aware narcissist when he agrees that he's one and a Trump supporter. Okay. So I ran it across my aware narcissist, and this is why I call myself an aware empath. So the thing is, Aware narcissists, they're very logical sometimes, very logical. And if they're giving you the honest advice and rational advice, run a situation by an aware narcissist, especially when they're not drunk, right? So I explained the situation with the little boy, my relative's son. He's about 8 years old or something. And my aware narcissist said this: he's mean spirited. And it's not just that he's mean spirited, he was grieving, and ain't nobody gonna be able to replace his mother. No matter who is kind to him, they are not gonna be able to replace his mother. And so a lot of people, they may have different views about the nieces and nephews and grandchildren, but you got to do children now the same way as adults. You have to discern their spirit, right? And I talked about this on other videos. The grandmother that got murdered and barbecued, her daughter and granddaughter, the daughter killed her now. The granddaughter didn't kill her, but the granddaughter was made by her mother to cook on the barbecue grill. I'm assuming in an attempt to dispose of the grandmother's body. It didn't work. It ain't as easy to cook somebody like you think it is, y'all. Especially when you don't have Jeffrey Dahmer's experience, right? He knew how to freeze the brain and put you all in these freezing spots. You know, if you ain't Jeffrey Dahmer, you're going to struggle with the proper way to store somebody and cook them. I'm just saying. And even he got caught eventually. But, and this was a Black family, you know, this grandmother. It changed my life. A grandmother is being cooked on a barbecue grill by her own biological daughter and granddaughter. And it's very sad, but you got to discern their spirits when they're younger. So like I was saying with the little boy, when I was attending our relative's funeral, I ain't missing out on nothing. See, and it's not holding a grudge. I know it's a kid, but this is a little boy with no manners. It's not a spiritual child, right? It's a child, but more demonic in nature. I don't want to have nothing to do with no child that if I walk up to them, they keep their back to me. No respect. That was the first time I had met him in person too, y'all. And see, some people, what they'll do, this is their mistake. This is the mistake they'll make. They'll say, well, it's because his mother died. He was at a funeral. He's young. Fuck that. That little motherfucking boy is gonna be a fucking problem. Okay? And he not gonna be it on my watch. That little boy is nasty and rude, and I don't want to be around him when he grow up. Now, what you want to do with these kind of children, you want to set a stage, because the thing is, them little evil little kids, they'll remember what they did too. I don't pursue any relationship with that little boy. And that is the reason, if I ever meet him again, he'll have the utmost respect for me. Because he'll be like, oh, I remember. That's the lady I kept my back to. Yeah, you did. And I didn't fuck with you no more neither. With your little rude, nasty ass. And so I am not the type of person that is in need of any freaking children. I don't need any more bad children. I'm blessed that Isaiah, Elijah, and Daniel are not in prisons or grave. As of right now, all of them are above ground and doing the best they can do. to do what they feel like they need to do and make their own choices. Thank you so much for the like, y'all. But like I said, that particular little boy, he was about 8, 9 years old, somewhere around there. And I don't need to know nothing else about his ass. Don't need to know it. I had problems with his mother. And I don't need to know anything else. It's genes, y'all. Some people are freaking nasty people. And it's not compatible with my personality. Like I said, I ran it across my aware narcissist, and he said the boy is mean-spirited. He hit it right on the nose. And the aware narcissist should know because he's similar. Listen to an aware narcissist. They know when somebody else is mean-spirited. Yeah, but let me go back to this narcissist and text messaging part 20. Why I responded or what my response was. And I'll give another reason. Let me see, because I came up with number 18. Yeah, number 18 was predatory nature. Number 19. Elijah mentioned this when he asked if him and Kaylin could stay with me. He used the word convenient. He said Kaylin was going to be working a job near my house, and it would be convenient for Kaylin. Oh my God, that's very bad. Elijah said it's convenient for Kaylin. Now, the thing is this. I'm not convenient for anybody. My name is not convenient. It's Irene, not convenient. Let's look up what that is to get more clarification so we can talk about, because sometimes I'll do this. I'll talk about words, what words mean and what they don't mean. So let's talk about convenient, because this is what Elijah said is convenient for Kaylin. But it ain't convenient for me to have his narcissistic sociopathic girl here. Convenient is an adjective that describes something well suited to your personal comfort, purpose, or needs. Like he said, convenient for Kaylin. But if it's my residence, it should be suited for my comfort and needs, not somebody else's. My residence should be convenient for me and the people that already live here. Let me see. Hold on. It blanked out on me. Let me go back to it. Thank you so much for the likes, y'all. So, it saves the person time and effort. Keyword. It's saving her effort. So that means a white narcissistic sociopath just gets to come in a ready-made home that myself and my family work for, and it saves time and effort. Supporting her triflingness. Also, she could try to get her son back because she says she lives with me. So instead of her having to work the same way I did, I had to work to provide a home for my sons and daughters. So instead of this chick trying to work and build up something herself and pursue effort, she gets to save time and effort when she moves in my stuff. And that's not going to happen. And it ain't just because she's white. I wouldn't let a black girl do this. If Elijah had a black girlfriend that acted like Kaylin, it would be the same way. I don't care about the race. Oh, 20. Nigga bitch. Oh, I'll never forget this one. When Elijah Back in 2022, he called me a nigga bitch. Now, what does this mean? You don't hold on to it forever, but it means something. And nigga bitch don't mean ghetto. That's not what he meant. He meant black bitch. That's his way of saying black bitch. And also a black bitch that was setting boundaries and not letting him get away with stuff. But nigga is the key word. So, from my perspective, what Elijah's saying is that you're soft hearted and, you know, a nigga bitch, you can come back to her house anytime you want to. You would be sitting there waiting, nigga bitch. That's what he's kind of saying. But I'll never forget him calling me that. It's very racist. And my position as a nigga bitch, since I'm a nigga bitch, like Elijah said, is to show him and the white community that he's embracing with this beautiful white girlfriend, Kaylin, that nigga bitches ain't stupid. And nigga bitches can reject anyone and decide that it's not in their best interest to help. So my goal is to reverse the nigga bitch term. And so now they can say, ooh, she's a smart bitch. Because that's what they're saying now. Your rejection of someone lets them know you're a little intelligent. Yeah, but nigga bitch, he lucky I even talked to him. I'm very kind-hearted to even speak to someone that's called me a nigga bitch. So that's number 20. Number 21, returning here with nothing, not even having a phone. I can't have someone in my home without a phone. Kaylin has a phone, but Elijah doesn't. Number 22. This is Narcissist and Text Messaging, part 20. What was my response? Okay. So number 22, it would be like someone that no longer has or never had a child, just suddenly bringing in 3 or 4 more people from another country, right? You know, and people have done that. They've allowed people to stay that come from abroad and overseas and stay with them when they come over to the United States to go to college. One family did it, and the college student from overseas was in their basement or downstairs watching pornography. And this was a very religious family. So you got to be careful who you move in. So that would be, I guess, what, number 22? And then number 23. And remember, I gave it number 20 to the nigga bitch, y'all. That means a lot when somebody calls you a nigga bitch. That means never let them stay with you again. That's what it means. You can turn that description around. It's a very racist thing. And 23, the boldness. Call me a nigga bitch back in 2022. But then call me and need a place for him and his white girl to stay. You know how they would have got my help? By saying, hey, mother nigga bitch, can my hunky bitch come stay? If I'm a nigga bitch, was she a hunky bitch? I mean, it's just crazy. The boldness. Elijah's very bold. Very bold. Very bold in nature. A little too bold. Cocky. That's that word. Let's use that white people word. Cocky. Number 24. What my response was. This is Narcissist and Text Messaging part 20. Because remember, the original question came through the text. People gonna get killed this year over text, y'all. They're gonna be allowing people to come in their residence that begin with the text. Those demonic spirits will come right through that text with the intent to destroy your life. So, number 24, Elijah has no job. Okay. He claimed that Kaylin has a job and she's going to be bringing in $2,400 a month. He painted it like she would be paying rent. He's trying to paint it like they have something that they really don't have. Anything they say, people will say anything to get in your house. $2,400 a month, yes, she may have a new job. She won't keep the job. She's in a domestic violence relationship, and any job she get, she's going to lose it because Elijah is arguing with her and beating up on her. So it won't be successful because she's not in the correct environment. And Elijah doesn't work. So that's number 24. He wants to return here with nothing after he spent all of his mechanic money. This is the thing with me. Number 25, if you want me to help you, you got to be investing in me. Invest here and you always have a place. And Elijah didn't do that. Even when he got his first job when he was a teenager, about $500 to bring home a week. All he gave me was $20. I cannot have no male in my residence that is not paying the household bills. That is a spirit of poverty, and everyone goes down with that male. Doesn't matter whether they're a son or not. People that are of age, 16 and up. If you are 16 and up and working, you should be paying bills at your parents' home. Whatever home you are in, you should be contributing. At a minimum, taking care of yourself. So if you are 16, you should have a job. If you have a job, you should be buying your own food, clothes, and saving. And if you got any children, you're a teenage parent, you should be taking care of your children, buying them diapers and all. That would be number 26. 27. Elijah told me and Kaylin confirmed that she does not believe in no Lord. I don't need that in my residence. I don't need it here. It's not going to bring any prosperity here, spiritually, financially, or emotionally. Number 28. I would not be able to keep up with the dirt and the trash and the kitchen chores, the collection of garbage. It's no way I would need 15 maids that I cannot afford to pay to live in my residence to keep up with all of that. That would be number 28. Number 29, it's no fun. Kaylin and Elijah, it's not a fun project, and it won't be a successful project. 30, Kaylin got to learn how to make it. She talked about me like a dog because I was a working mother when I was raising Elijah and Daniel and Isaiah. And they made me sound like I was some stupo because I worked. And so Kaylin got to go out there and do it herself. Because basically she was calling me a nigga bitch too in a subtle way. Like, nigga bitch, you had to go work. You ain't shit. You worked as a single mother and raised your sons. Well, that's what she needs to do. Oh. 30 or 31, whichever one you want to call it, drug addiction. They are on substances, and I cannot have that in my residence. I don't care how homeless they are. If you're on substances, you almost deserve to be homeless because you're spending your money on substances. And it is not my problem. Please click a like, y'all. Oh, let me see. Leonard says the whole thing with the grandmother, the daughter, and the granddaughter, when two are demonic, what would ever make a person want to do something like that? Sad demonstration. I like how Leonard uses that word demonstration. Oh, Leonard says, I respond when you ask me a question. It's just in the chat. Yes, you do. And I appreciate Leonard Wilson. I'm very grateful for your participation. So Leonard Wilson says, and you made a great point. People don't listen. You've been through things in your life. You can see the type of person that you meet in time, if they're going to be right for you or not. Yeah, exactly. Time tells all things. Leonard Wilson says, but I need you to understand, I don't come to distract from your PowerPoint. No, no. These are lives, and lives, participation helps. Yeah. You're always adding to the content, Leonard. I'm very grateful for you. You're not a distraction at all. And I'm so grateful and I'm so happy to hear that you're out of the hospital. Leonard, I'm very happy about that. You out, I need to go in hospital, but I need to be in there. I really do. I know it too. I'm just waiting to be on one of these lives and y'all just hear me fall on the floor or something. I'm gonna just start coughing and gasping and shoot. Y'all be like, Miss Irene, advanced, are you okay? You're heading to work Leonard says he's heading to work as we speak. Great job. It's a blessing to come out of the hospital and still have your job, Leonard. It really is. Yeah, it sounds like it, sis. And you didn't make it to the doctor. See, I had a nurse appointment over the phone, and I had one doctor's appointment I canceled. And I also do I'm in this heart high blood pressure program. So I did online doctor stuff, but I have not specifically went to the hospital for this. Oh, nice. So that's your name, Irene. By the way, it's Glenn Leonard Wilson. Oh, what a beautiful name. Oh, that's your stage name? Oh, you got a stage name? That's nice. Hold on. Let me check more comments. Oh, earlier, Leonard Wilson says, still smoking those black and miles, huh? Gotta give them up. That's funny. That's like a joke from the one of the lives. My voice was like it was even worse, right? So it was all these jokes that the viewers and the people in the chat, like Leonard and myself, I was even cracking jokes on myself. So yeah, the joke is, you know, like raspy voice. Some people that smoke, um, Black and Miles and cigarettes and stuff, they have that raspy voice. So that's the joke. I have asthma, so I have weak lungs and lung problems anyway. So um yeah, but that's what I'm just looking back at that. That's cute, Leonard. Thank you. That's funny. Yep, still smoking the Black and Miles, and it's just a joke, y'all. I do not smoke at all. Trust me, smoking is like the worst thing I could do. That's one of the good things about my life is I said no to drugs and alcohol. But I couldn't make all my children be that way. They make their own choices, and you're really blessed if you have children that are off drugs and alcohol. Isaiah's not a drug addict. So I'm proud of him. And I know it wasn't easy, even for Isaiah. But Isaiah was always kind of like a go-getter type kid, even when he was little. I love all my sons, but I don't approve of everything that they all do. Oh yeah, yeah. Leonard said I was sounding like Barry White. I sure did. And see, I already have a deep voice anyway. So developing a hoarse voice just adds to it. Oh, Leonard's your middle name. Yeah, that's a nice name. Leonard Wilson says he's retired as a touring musician 10 years ago. Congratulations for that. Was you traveling with R. Kelly? No, just playing. That's good, Leonard Wilson, that you never did drugs or alcohol. I just enjoy other people and the way they act on them. I don't. Why would you enjoy other people that's high on drugs and alcohol? That's kind of an abusive statement, Leonard. You got to read that now in the same way. I never did drugs and alcohol. I just enjoy other people and the way they act on them. I'm so happy to be able to call you friend, and I haven't even met you. Okay, Leonard, we got to talk about that statement now. You enjoy other people and the way they act on them. Why would you enjoy that? Why wouldn't you want them to be drug free and alcohol free like you? Why would us as non drug addicts, because you're enjoying seeing people destroy themselves? What's enjoyable about that, Leonard? I'm just asking now. You said it. You said I'm the same way. I've never did drugs, never drunk alcohol. I just enjoy other people and the way they act on them. I never said I never drank alcohol. I said I'm not addicted to drugs and alcohol. And I don't do that stuff in my residence. And in general, I don't drink or smoke in general. Don't smoke at all, but I never said I never had a drink. I just said I'm not addicted. Oh, Leonard says, well, I went back and listened to some of your other videos. You have a beautiful voice, a radio voice, I must say. Yes, thank you. My mother, when she was in St. Louis, Missouri, when she was living, she had a radio show. Yeah, my mother had a Christian radio show. And sometimes when I would be out, like on the south side in St. Louis, especially because her show would come on mostly on the weekends. So I remember a couple of times, you know how people had a vehicle radios on, and I would click, go to the channel, and hear my mother. It was amazing. And my mother was not actively raising me. I could hear my mother on her radio show. Oh, you travel with Brian McKnight? What do you mean Brian McKnight is just as bad? You compare Brian McKnight to R. Kelly? Is Brian McKnight a womanizer too, is what you're saying? I used to like Brian McKnight's music. Both of them. I like some R. Kelly stuff too. Oh, you said because it takes them out of character of who they really are when they present themselves to be something that they're not when you first meet them. So who do they present that they are? Because I thought Brian McKnight was kind of like the man he is when he's singing. I never heard anything about Brian McKnight being anything different. But maybe I'm not up to date on the news about him. R. Kelly's music displays who he is. I mean, remember Bump and Grind? Ain't nothing wrong with a little bump and grind. But really, he should have said a lot of bump and grind. R. Kelly, his music displays, he's a freak. Larry, you never did answer my question on why do you enjoy other people in the way they act on drugs and alcohol? I am not going to forget about that question, brother. Please explain that comment. Come on now, you ignoring my. Don't try to distract me now. You did reply to my question? Okay, let me go back. Let me see. I haven't seen a response because it says I was just enjoying people in the way that they act on drugs and alcohol, and then that comment isn't a response to that. You went back and listened to my other videos. Then we're talking about R. Kelly and Brian McKnight. Oh, is this the answer to it? Because it takes them out of character of who they really are when they present themselves to be something that they're not when you first meet them. Is that the response to the seeing people on drugs and alcohol, or are you talking about R. Kelly and Brian McKnight, Leonard? Maybe you're talking about the drugs and alcohol, seeing people on them. Yeah, I don't enjoy. I feel different. Like even when I go eat at the bar and I go sit over in like the den or furniture area, I'm not sitting at the bar and I'm in there, I'm not drinking as well. And so it makes me sad. Even one of our favorite like elders that be in there, because we have our favorite places to eat, and we like the bar because it has the TV, the furniture you can sit at, stuff like that. There's like a little couch, love seat type area. So sometimes I'll hang out there with family, but we're not drinking alcohol. We're getting drinks like strawberry lemonade, um, Arnold Palmer's. That's like sweet tea and lemonade. It's a mixed sweet tea and lemonade drink and stuff like that. A salad, some nachos and quesadillas, just stuff like that. But even one of our favorite elders that'll be in there, um, you know, he's a white guy. He be, pretty intoxicated. I don't like to see him. I don't enjoy myself seeing people high and on drugs. It's a sensitivity to me. It's not enjoyable because part of my soul, especially if I know they addicted to alcohol. Now that once a year drinker, sometimes they'll be a little funny, but just in general, I just don't enjoy seeing people high. Because my thing is, I want them like me, not on substances. My wish is for people, my wish is for people to be able to do what I'm doing right now and don't need no cigarettes or drugs and alcohol. Some people need to get high to do something like this. Or some people will get high. Say if I was addicted, now I can't do a video. It does the opposite. It getting high and being addicted, it removes their talents, or it can make them bring out a talent temporarily. I've seen some YouTubers. There's this one gentleman, I came to his channel. He shows his face more, but he was sipping the liquor. He had to get toasted to continue that live. He sure did. And I felt kind of bad for him. His life was interesting, but that bothered me. I didn't like that he needed the liquor. And you're watching him get high. So for me, it makes me feel like he don't really like what he doing. Yeah, the things they said about R. Kelly is not true. Okay. Everything they said about him ain't true, Leonard. Oh, well, with R. Kelly, when you call yourself the Piper, the Pied Piper, that should tell you something about what kind of person he is. So Leonard Wilson says, I'm gonna be honest with you, the majority of those things that they said about R. Kelly wasn't true. What makes you think it ain't true? That he don't mess with young children and stuff? Oh, Leonard Wilson says, okay, I'll answer it again. When you're on a tour coach with people, you can want the best for them, but they're grown. They're going to do what they want. So I laugh at them. I'll never ignore you. You just didn't see my response. Yeah, people do some funny stuff intoxicated. But I don't like to know somebody's addicted. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like sad. I laugh with them, but I'm not laughing at them. You know what I mean? It's just my wish is for people to be not addicted. I believe being not addicted is the best situation to be in. And I wish that success, it's just like a rich person. If they got billions and millions of dollars and they wish that other people have a lot of money too. Some rich people, might get a thrill out of people being poor, but some rich people might be like, I wish everybody could do this. You got rich people that, do seminars and try to teach people how to become successful. And it works too. A lot of people become wealthy that way. Not everything is a get rich quick scheme. Hold on one second. I'm checking these comments. Oh, Leonard Wilson says you have to understand the music industry world is not normal. So it's a mindset thing, and you have to be in that mindset to be part of it. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, it makes sense. Leonard Wilson also says, yes, that is one of the responses. And that also go for gospel singers because I also toured with them. Thanks for answering the question again, Leonard Wilson. Um, Leonard Wilson also says you have to be in the circles to find out the type of people they are. They have publishers that keeps them out of the news and in their bad deed. Leonard Wilson also says, no, you got to remember these people are human and they have their flaws. The whole Maya, the singer situation with the busted eardrum that come from Brian McKnight beating her up. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that Brian McKnight beat up Maya. Oh my goodness. Thanks for sharing that. I never knew anything about that, Leonard Wilson. Of course, Leonard Wilson also said, of course, he's just as bad as R. Kelly, but his dirt is still in the dark. But I'll come into the light one day when they're done with with him, meaning the industry. Um, yeah, I did not know Brian McKnight beat Maya to her eardrum was busted. Wow. I had no clue. I had a busted eardrum when I was a kid. It came from a step accident when we stayed on Linton. I went down a whole flight of stairs, y'all. Wow. That's really sad. I'll look up more about that to watch that story. I had no clue. I know that it just seemed like I stopped hearing much about Brian McKnight, but I guess so. If he's beating up Maya, he's busy doing something other than singing, huh? Was him and Maya dating or something? I did not know that he beat her. You got to hit somebody pretty hard, or they got to have a long fall too. Or in my case, when the accident happened with me, I was spinning, 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 spinning. I was a little girl, and then that dizziness made me fly. So it's almost kind of like a equivalent to like almost being thrown down some steps, just because I'm spinning, spinning, spinning out of control, thinking I'm like a little ballerina, y'all. And then I ended up being a ballerina. So I did ballet, jazz tapping ballet for 8 years of my childhood. Let's see. Yeah, thank you for updating me on that, Leonard. It says he was never taught manners, so he can never. Oh, we're talking about the little 8 or 9 year old boy. Leonard Wilson says he was never taught manners, so he can never show you something that he doesn't know. So I blame the parents. His ass was taught manners. That little boy know better. He did it to be honorary. He's been taught some manners. I went back and saw that. He ain't that ghetto of a child. That Negro knew exactly what he was doing. He knew I was his relative. He knew I was saying something to him, and he disrespected me on purpose. He kept his back to me. It's in his genes. Some children are just honorary little bastards. That's it. But right there, see, with those type of kids, that's the true nature. And like I said, a lot of people would have blamed it on, oh, he's at a funeral, he's only 8 or 9. He'll be like that when he's 80. When he's 80, some woman will be walking up to him and he'll keep his back turned. They call them natural assholes. And assholes have been taught manners, just so you know. This little boy has been taught some manners. But he knew wasn't nobody gonna check him about it. That's all. People do what they feel like they could get away from. He's being raised by narcissists and sociopaths and psychopaths. So he's being raised wrong, but he knows matters. He knows some matters. And it's best in those situations with that type of child. Oh yeah, Leah death was planned. I do agree with that. That her death was no accident. I even found out they took her on the jet while she was asleep. You can't bring me on the jet while I'm asleep. I didn't give you freaking permission to take me on there. Yeah, that was planned. I absolutely agree with that. That's no accident what happened to Aaliyah. That is no accident. Definitely inside sabotage and setup. And she wouldn't join all that satanic stuff they wanted her to join. Yeah, I believe some deaths are set up, Leonard Wilson. I'm looking at the one where Leonard Wilson sounded like Barry White. Leonard Wilson. I like how we can all just have fun talking about my voice, my hoarse voice. See, that's why you just got to keep doing your videos. Shoot. More conversation. Make fun of the voice. I'm making fun of it too. I know y'all like she crazy. She make fun of herself. Over time, you just got to see the enjoyment in some things that are unexpected. The longest my voice has been this bad off. That's how I know that this is respiratory. I'm looking over some of these comments, y'all. Yeah, okay. Leonard Wilson says, yeah, Brian McKnight beat her up on a basketball court because she interrupted the game. Trust me, Brian ignited the monster. I believe it. Thank you for the like, y'all. Then he seems so sweet and chocolate and all gentle. Huh. I guess that's like the facade, right? Oh, they was in a relationship. Maya and Brian McKnight was in a relationship. Yeah. You got those monsters, yeah. Because that songs, he makes it seem like he's such a gentleman, right? But he goes with the statistic, Thank goodness she didn't die. But busting her eardrum, that's pretty bad. That's bad. That's a horrific thing. Definitely a act of hate. It's not an act of love. So Leonard Wilson says, so he had to look at it all as a business. I didn't take any of it personal. I got paid from a time I left my house, a time ago. Yeah, you're just there to do your job. I mean, you can't get with entertainment. It's like working in customer service, right? You cannot get involved. You just got to do your job and make sure you don't bust your eardrum. It's like you just want to, I'm here to do my work. Was the police called and stuff? How did that work out with the Brian McKnight? It reminds me of Gary Payton on Nasty Self, right? Ugh, Gary Payton, very nasty man, very nasty man. Um, I had opportunity of meeting him in this weird location. It's a long story, but I'm glad he ain't my man. Very, very man. Oh, Leonard Wilson says, you know, the same thing with P. Diddy, what he was doing and what he got charged for. He was doing all that when he was back in college, but Clyde Davis put that machine behind. Yeah. Yeah, it's like before the public knows what they are, you know, people that work in the music and acting field and artists in general always knew what they were. You know, like Jaguar Wright, she tells a lot of her testimonies with stuff that she's seen, y'all. A lot of it, it ain't just what she's thinking or assuming. It's what she's seen too. Oh, Leonard Wilson also says they call alcohol spirits for a reason because a person prevents a different spirit once they drunk or high. Or sometimes it's bringing out who they are anyway. I'm looking at more of these comments because some of them I missed. That's why I'm going back through them. Thank you so much, Leonard Wilson, for your active participation. Oh, Leonard Wilson says, I did leave you a message on your short video that you posted. Yes, Sunday is going to be kind of like, I'm trying to dedicate like some hours in a day where I respond to like comments and stuff because there's some comments I need to reply to. I know like on this last Sunday, I replied to you and Coffee Black. I remember doing that. But I'm just going to create a better system, you know, because over time, regular viewers will leave more comments. I'll get to them all and reply. I will. But I did some of them for you and Coffee Black on Sunday, Leonard. Yeah, I'm glad Maya is away from Brian McKnight. I mean, she does not need a crazy man like that. I'm disappointed in Brian McKnight. I used to like his music. But just because they have good music doesn't mean they're he could be insane and nuts and actually sing some good music. Oh yeah, Leonard Wilson says, you know, it's quite sad as a child you admire these artists, then you get an opportunity to play behind them and get to know them, and they're not the person that they present themselves to be. Yes, I would agree. So this device is getting ready to go out, y'all. I love y'all. Please like, share, and subscribe. Tune in for more right here with Advanced Insight Channel. Leonard Wilson, thank you so much. Bye.